India has been telling stories for 5,000 years. Kings and fools, animals and gods, brave children and wise elders, every story carrying something the modern world still needs. But somewhere along the way, our children stopped hearing them. So, we are bringing them back every week, beautifully animated in English, Hindi, and Telugu. For your children, for your family, for you. Because some things are too precious to be forgotten.
6 of the greatest back to back right now. First, one rabbit, 1,000 animals in panic, and a lion who stopped to ask why.
In an ancient Indian forest, a rabbit sat under a mango tree, half asleep at peace. Then, boom! The rabbit didn't look, didn't think. He just ran screaming, "The world is ending! Run, run, run!" Another rabbit heard him and also ran. Then rabbits, deers, elephants, every other animal in the forest started running, screaming, and were terrified. Nobody stopped to ask what actually happened, except the lion. He stood in their path, roared once, and everything stopped. "Where are you running? The world is ending." "Who told you?" "The rabbit." "Who told the rabbit?" Silence. The lion walked back to the mango tree, found a large ripe mango on the ground. That was the sound. One mango falling. That's all it was. 1,000 animals ran in panic because nobody stopped to ask one simple question. Is it true?
2 women, 1 child, 1 impossible choice.
2 mothers, 1 child. Every wise man in the kingdom failed until Tenali Raman walked in. In the kingdom of Vijayanagara, 2 women stood before the king, both claiming the same child, both weeping and both were convincing. The king called his wisest ministers. Hours passed, no answer. Then Tenali Raman walked in, looked at both the women and the child, and he smiled. "Give me 1 minute." He walked to the child, picked him up gently, and walked towards the door. Then nobody can prove ownership. The child will go to the palace and the king will raise him. One woman stood completely still, but the other, she threw herself forward, grabbed Tenali's arms, crying, "Please, take everything I have. Take me instead, but don't take my son." Tenali stopped, turned to the king and said, "That one, she's the mother." The king leaned forward and asked, "How do you know?" Tenali looked at the child, reaching for his mother. A woman who wants a child stood still, but a mother who loves the child could not. Logic looks for proof. Love reveals it.
What happens when a king faces a question with no answer?
Great king summoned every wise man in his kingdom. One question. Whoever answered correctly would be rewarded beyond imagination. Scholar after scholar stepped forward. Truth is the Vedas. Truth is God. Truth is time itself. The king rejected every single one. Then a young boy entered the court. No title, no learning. The court laughed. The boy walked to the center, looked at the king and said, "Absolutely nothing. Not one word. Just silence." The king smiled because his question was this: what is the one thing that exists beyond all words? Every scholar tried to describe it, only the boy understood. Some truths cannot be spoken, they can only be felt.
This 1 poet, 100 priests, 1 test nobody expected.
Tenali Raman was just a poor poet. He was not powerful, nor was he important. But one day, 100 priests arrived at his village. They demanded food from every home for 30 days. The villagers were terrified. Refusing meant bad luck, but feeding them meant starvation. So they came to Tenali for solution. Tenali smiled and invited all the priests to a grand feast at midnight. They arrived hungry and excited. Tenali served them boiling hot kheer. Too hot to eat, too rude to refuse. The priest sat, sweating and waiting for the kheer to cool down. By the time it was cool, it was almost dawn. Tenali said, "Oh, our scriptures say priests cannot eat after sunrise. Come back tomorrow at midnight, I'll make you fresh kheer." The priests looked at each other and they left, never to come back. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is patience and a bowl of hot kheer.
A thief stood before the king. His only hope was the truth. 300 years ago, a thief spoke 6 words and walked out of the execution ground free. Listen, Vikram, to the tale of a king trapped by his own law and a thief who stole his life back with nothing but logic.
The king declared, "Speak one last sentence. If it's truth, you will be hanged. If it's a lie, you will be beheaded. No other choice exists." The thief smiled and spoke 6 words. The king heard those words, called his ministers, and they argued for hours. If they punished the thief, they broke their own law. If they freed him, the law meant nothing. Logic failed, the law bowed, and the thief walked free.
Now, Vikram, what were the 6 words? If you know, speak, for if you stay silent, your wisdom becomes your own prison.
And one pot bone dry in a thunderstorm. The sage saw it instantly. Who is the thief? 300 years ago, a fortune in gold vanished into the rain. 3 suspects stood before the sage. Each claimed innocence. Each claimed they were elsewhere. But the sage didn't listen to words. He looked at their hands. He walked straight to the pots. 3 clay pots left out in the storm. 2 were overflowing with the sky's judgment. But the third was bone dry.
Listen, Vikram. The rain fell on everything that night. Every roof, every leaf, every pot, except one. The thief thought he was clever, but he forgot one thing. The answer is right in front of you, Vikram. It always was, from the moment the storm began. The sage needed only one glance. One pot told him everything. But will you see what the sage saw? Most people look, very few actually see.
He pointed his finger. The thief's heart stopped.
Now, Vikram, tell me, if all 3 pots were made the same morning, why is only one bone dry? Speak, or your silence becomes your own prison. Who is the thief?
If these stories made you think, subscribe because we have hundreds more. Vikram-Betal, Tenali Raman, Panchatantra, Jataka tales. Ancient India was never short of wisdom, and neither are we. New story every week. DesiTalesUniverse.